All right, thank you for joining in. On behalf of National Geographic Poland and her Impact.co, a social platform supporting and educating women in the labor market. As you know, it's International Women's Day in 2 days, and it's all about women in March for National Geographic. The Nat Geo channel is airing a special series of documentaries covering the stories of the lives of brave, courageous, and inspiring women starting March 6th. It's called Women of Impact, Changing the World. And without doubt, one of those inspiring women who has impacted the world is my today's guest, Dominique Gonçalves, an ecologist and social activist. Dominique is a National Geographic Society Fellow and a nominee for the Pritzker Emerging Environmental Genius Award. Dominique, thank you for your time on behalf of her Impact.co and Nat Geo. Would you tell us where does your love for nature come from?
Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me, and well done to all these amazing and powerful women that are doing so much for all of us. It's really an amazing pleasure to start this conversation. And yes, I am Dominique. I am from Mozambique, and I am now an ecologist working with elephant and human-elephant coexistence. That's a great question. How my passion for nature started, I have to say, it started when I was very young. I just loved flowers because my mom had a nice garden. But as things developed and when I started studying more biology, I had a great inspiration. One day I got to know Wangari Maathai, the Kenyan lady that started the Green Belt movement, and that was one of my biggest inspirations. And since then, I just got very interested in nature and environmental issues. And that basically, put me to the path to study ecology and then start working with nature directly. So this is how it all started.
So what does your job really looks like right now?
Well, my job is pretty interesting. It's a lot of fun and a little bit hard sometimes. But my job as the manager of the Elephant Ecology Project, scientifically talking or technically talking, is about doing long-term monitoring of elephants in the Gorongosa region. And this long-term monitoring means, tracking elephants, fitting GPS satellite collars on elephants, see where they are, see how good they are, if is anything wrong happening with them, how the families, who is who, identifying them, reading their behavior, but also most recently has been involving also with communities who live next door to the park, and to build coexistence between the people who live next door and the wildlife, especially elephants around the park. So and one day, in a beautiful day, I could just go and try to find elephants driving around the park in the protected area and finding them and staying with them for a long time. Or I could be on a community side, working with the community collaborators, look at beehive fences, look at improved silos. Or I could also have a boring day, which is just sitting in an office and having to write reports and, plan things ahead. So this is actually what my job looks like. And there's, of course, very, very exciting days and less exciting days. Definitely.
When you say community, you mean young women?
Not only, to be honest, the people who we collaborate with mostly in terms of coexistence is adults and young women, that women and men who live next door. However, yes, sometimes I do go and visit our famous girls' clubs, and this is also one of the most exciting parts of my work, when I go and visit the girls from the girls' club and spend some afternoons or mornings with them, playing, talking about issues, about things, and just having some girl time with them.
When you say issues, do you mean the most recent, most exciting, if I could say that topic, educating women to prevent the early marriages? Is that something you've been involved with?
Yes, it is, and there's a deep sense of purpose for that. In certain places and many countries, not only in my country, Mozambique, many other countries around the world, some young girls really drop school when they're very young, and they basically submitted to early marriages. And that, of course, as we may imagine, that brings a lot of cascading effects that might not be really beneficial for the society, for the girl, for the family, for the society, and then for the environment. So keeping girls in school, giving them an opportunity to stay at school and improve and keep studying, so one day they can be someone or have an alternative future, is definitely one of the biggest goals. And when we talk about girls' education, it's not saying only for girls, but it's important also to keep boys also studying, and by saying boys studying is also the boys need to know why is it important to have also a girl well educated, because we don't want to get to the point that women and girls are super well educated and the men and boys are not ready for that.
Are you doing it on your own, or is anybody supporting you?
Oh no, nothing is easily done on your own. I would say, especially in Gorongosa, we are a massive team in different departments, and there's certain things that different departments collaborate. For example, in terms of coexistence, is a multidisciplinarity team, so it involves science, which I am from. I'm from the science department. It involves conservation and tourism and education, human development, all these things. So our teams in certain programs is not just alone, is a massive team. We're about 600 employees in the park, and many of us have our distinct work, such as in elephants or this and that, but then there's big programs or big goals that we have, that we all work together and collaborate, such as the girls' education program.
So you as a scientist, what do you believe drives or helps women gain self-confidence or self-respect to a certain point?
I would say it's support means a lot, because if a woman is trying or starting and believing in herself and no support at all, it's just a thin line, it's a small line until we can continue to push ourselves and everyone is against you. So when you have some more support, that really helps. That really keeps lifting you when you fall and you have to restart and restart. So that support is really important, and it's something that we're trying to do with these girls clubs, for example. It's a reminder, when I go there and I'm talking to them, not only me, but many of my other women colleagues that have been through similar difficult situations in life, or since childhood or something. It's when I go there and I tell my story and how I basically came across my challenges and how I managed to be where I am and keep working and studying and now doing what I'm doing, is actually a reminder to them that it's possible, that there is alternative. So, we are there to support them. Of course, I didn't do all these things only by myself. No, I had a lot of support. I had people, women and men, who opened the door, who put their hand over there for me, and they keeping some doors open. And that's what is the most important thing, I think, is this support. And women supporting each other and young girls is definitely something very important.
You say that both women and men have supported you along the way, but it kind of feels like you believe in this female solidarity or unity. What is it for you?
What is female solidarity and unity? Well, I think it is basically, for example, when I give an example, I managed to be where I am now, but I'm not just focused only on me now. I am trying to bring with me other women. So that is for me what is solidarity and unity is. basically what, we are now being able to have this kind of conversations because strong, brave women before kind of paved the way. They made it happen. And it's important that we keep pushing these doors and opening these doors and also bringing other women with us and keeping the door open. So, because unfortunately, there are situations where some women will be, well, I had to go through a lot to be here, so I'm not going to help you, because I suffered a lot, basically. But thanks, there's other women that actually thinks differently. And it's because I had to go through all that. I don't believe that all women have to. And I'm going to do something different. I'm going to keep this door open and also bring others with me. So for me, that's really, I think women are stronger together, definitely. And, although in some things we compete a lot, women do compete a lot. And, it's nature, it's human nature, actually. So we just have to have more compassion and empathy for each other.
So educating young women into being more aware, more empathetic, but at the same time ready to reach for their goals. Could we say that?
I would say that most importantly is educating women and young girls, not in exactly what I'm talking about, basically school. Women who knows how to read, how to write, women or girls who continue studying. So one day they can have, undergrad or something. And that's the main thing. And of course, as an example, what some things we do is as they learn more about numeracy and literacy, they also learn about women's rights and, human's rights and entrepreneurship and all these things, all this, stewardship and bring, each other together, basically. Of course, these are things that, unfortunately, most of these things should be taught at home, women and girls shouldn't have to go through classes or clubs to learn these things. This should be brought out from home. But we live in such a difficult world sometimes that, we have to remind people about it.
So, Oprah Winfrey once said that women around the world don't really differ that much from one another. They feel similar pain or for the losses or lack of perspectives. And my question is, in today's world with the internet, you live in Mozambique, like I said, it might not differ that much in terms of internet access and perspectives for the youngest. What is the most important thing you would teach the young women in order to reach for their dreams and not go for the security of early marriage?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Although I agree, women feel different, feel similar in many situations, but even our realities are very, very different. When I talk to these young girls, they're from the rural place that basically have electricity. So forget about internet or a mobile phone that you can access internet or anything. They barely have school books or clothes or shoes or, there's basic things. So one of the things that I always try to, say to finish our conversation is that they need to still be strong because, might be very dark, very complicated. Because you might see that the club is just a few hours a day, although it provides a safe space for them to be young, to be girls and to play and to talk about all these things and to be vulnerable with each other. After that, they might go home and things might not change at all, At home, they might still have to deal with taking care of many siblings or helping with many other chores, which is some are fine, but also might be submitted to early marriage. So it's not like we don't really have a recipe to say that this is how you're gonna come out, and be free or, be a different person or anything. But it's just a reminder that there's always light in the end of the tunnel. Look at me, look at many other examples you may see that they also went through a lot of things, but they managed to, because of, you have to be, you have to have determination. You really have to understand why this is important. It's not just something that is being imposed to you. For example, do your homework. No, it's different than that. So one thing that I really try to make sure they understand is how important is education for them. Forget about like the other things that we say, well, you have to do your homework because of your grades or this and that. It's not just about the grades. It's what it means for your future. It's what it means for your family in the future and for the society. So that's why it's so important for them to see a person that has been through similar things, but then managed to come out of that vicious cycle, So these are the little things we say, like, be a lot of determination and see the importance of it. Because unless they experience or they imagine a different future, we're not doing much. You're just talking, and it'll be just other people that just come and talk, and they know, but if they don't really feel the importance of it, things might not change at all.
We have a few questions from the online viewers, and well, let's start with a question regarding the role models, since we're talking about inspiring the young women in your region. Who is your role model?
My role model was Wangari Maathai, as I said. Wangari Maathai was this Kenyan activist, environmental activist, and she founded the Green Belt movement. And at that time, she was basically a social activist for planting more trees, talking about the importance of trees. And at that time, it was just because of the ozone in the world, And Wangari Maathai was fierce. She's offended. She went against politics and many things. And she brought up her community. And she planted many trees. She protected ancient trees in certain places. And I think for me, what really made me see her as a role model, first was because I was young, just like the little girls in the club. I was very young. I was in 6th grade. And I remember this day, one of my teachers came with a little magazine and I say, guys, today is the Green Belt Movement Day. You know what that is? And we had no clue. And he started to explain all the environmental issues. And he said, this is Wangari Maathai. This is the woman who is leading this. And for me, my first reaction was like, she was not what I was expecting, that, an activist doing so much and changing the world would look like. The fact is, she was Black, a woman from Kenya, and a woman that looked very much like many other women around me. So it was that kind of seeing the resemblance, basically, and saying, well, wait a minute, she's just from here, close to me.
You could relate to her? Is that what you mean?
Exactly. I could just relate to her and say that she's just from here, so close to me. She looks like my auntie. She looks like, so this is possible. So does that mean that maybe, you just see yourself there because there's someone that you just look and relate to. So I think that was my biggest first role model. And in fact, right after that, I started to be way more interested in environmental issues, in biology and all these things. And well, I end up, studying ecology.
That's a great story. That's a great role model story. And you became interested, as you said, in the ecology, and you became a National Geographic Society Fellow. The question is, how did you become a National Geographic Society Fellow?
Oh, well, how did I become? So I don't know if that's the answer, but I was just starting my project, the Elephant Ecology Project, and I applied for a grant. And to be honest with you, it didn't go well. But then, I was nominated to be a fellow because apparently my work really, goes in line with the principles and what National Geographic Society wanted to follow and support. So this is how I became a National Geographic Fellow. Also, I believe that the fact that I do my work in one of the last wild places, has Gorongosa National Park, also had a different meaning, in the entire, basically, nomination.
Did it help you with your program, with your work?
Oh, definitely. Becoming a National Geographic Society Fellow is an honor. Basically, it's an amazing honor. If you see the other people that's been there, I still sometimes don't believe how am I one, seen as them is ridiculous. It's all that little doubt that us, especially women, have. It's so hard to believe sometimes, but yes, it gave a huge push on my work in terms of support, networking, training, and this basically opportunity to be talking about topics that I care a lot and I'm passionate about, to the entire world. So it's been an honor. It's been a beautiful adventure, basically.
You have been featured in the documentary series Women of Impact. And my question, or actually the viewer's question is, do you have your personal favorite heroes within the series? I'm not talking about the role model, we just discussed it. Which of the videos have you personally watched?
Yes, I do. Well, there's so many there, there's so many amazing women. And to be honest, one of them, Amy Vitale, is the one who nominated me for the Pritzker Emerging Award, a Genius Award. So, but to start, I have many. One of them is Dr. Joyce Paul, obviously, because she's actually the one who took me and right after I finished my undergrad and some more adventures, she took me under her wing, under the elephant, the Gorongosa Elephant Project, and she's the one who basically introduced me to elephants and elephant behavior identification. So she basically paved the way for me I started with behavior and identification, and then I say, wait a minute, I am an ecologist. I want to look at the entire picture, and she's always been there supporting me. So Joyce Paul, definitely. And also I do have huge respect for Dr. Gladys Kalima. Dr. Gladys is a veterinarian, also a conservationist, primate conservationist. She works with gorillas in Uganda, her country. And Dr. Gladys, I have to say, Joyce Paul is the co-founder of Elephant Voices. And Dr. Gladys, she is the founder of One Health. So especially these days, it's so important because when we talk about wildlife and zoonotic diseases, such as the pandemic right now, but zoonotic diseases have been there forever, since ever. So Dr. Gladys, early, she realized that for protection of gorillas, for example, and for the people, she needed to look at the health of people and gorillas in the same kind of sphere. So this is what One Health is about, and she is also an amazing woman, as one of my heroes. It's hard to remember all of the women are there, but I also wanted to mention Lali Litchfield. She's a carnivore conservationist working in Zambia, if I'm not wrong, Tanzania. I'm sorry, in Tanzania, and she's just I had the pleasure to meet and talk and formal and informally with all these women, and they are all so supportive, and basically they are my role models also.
That's amazing, because you're the role model for many young women, I'm sure. You're featured in those movies and you talk about your heroes with such passion. You're a true spokesperson for the women of impact, which is very, very inspiring. It looks like you believe in the storytelling, and the question is, what is the best means of sharing your goals or vision? Could it be videos, those which National Geographic Channel airs, or perhaps there is another way you think would be would help spread the positive visions for the world?
Well, definitely. Definitely videos and in such great platforms such as National Geographic helps a lot and is a way to go, especially if you want to touch people from all over the world. But I also still really believe in the traditional old way of storytelling, the ones that even our great grandfathers did. That was just maybe just sit around fire and tell you a nice encounter that they had, or the way of teaching something. This is very still alive in my tradition, in my country. We still sit and talk about things, and I have to say, to reach all the outside world, of course we need these amazing platforms and amazing storytellers, such as the people who work with National Geographic and many others. They're amazing. They do an amazing job. And I have to say, I'm not really good in media or anything, but they made me look good. So it's something that I really appreciate. And but if I talk about girls and communities in my rural places, I would say it is still a lot about just a little projector with a movie and sit in a nice night with the moon and talk about things, and sharing experiences like that. So for me, I do see it both sides, and I do think both sides are important. You just have to adapt.
I listen to you, and I'm sure it's not just me who hears and feels so much passion. And a question from the viewers is, what motivates you to push forward in both ecology and social activism? And what gives you a sense of fulfillment?
Sorry, can you repeat a little bit? I was cutting a little bit. Can you repeat?
So let me ask the first question. The first part of the question is, what motivates you to push forward in both ecology and social activism?
What motivates me is purpose, definitely. But because I really believe we can do something. Sometimes the world is so negative, and the news and many things is just so negative, and you feel like powerless. You feel like there's no much you can do. But there's amazing stories out there. There's amazing stories of resilience and, of positiveness, of kindness, of compassion that is still there. There's a lot of good things still happening. And we just have to try to be part of those good things also, because otherwise sometimes it's overwhelming. Not saying that it's all the time roses, it's not at all. But I do believe that I have I'm here doing what I'm doing because I have a role to play. I have a purpose. I have to achieve something. I'm not looking for, like superstar or anything recognition, but I really want to make a change in my place. I really want to help the friends and people I know that are in that rural, in the buffer zone around the park. I really want to help the elephants I know and many others. And it's because the world is so big, you might think, but where do I find, what do I do? And I really like that saying, the say starts in your own backyard, and this is exactly where I'm starting, in my own backyard, which is in my place with my people and nature.
But I'm not saying, but
yeah,
backward.
Yeah, but it's not saying that you can just stay there. No, if you're brave enough and you have everything, big wings to expand, definitely do. But because sometimes people just say, how can I help? I mean, I'm so far, how can I help? You can help in many ways. People can help in many, many different ways. Don't need to be there, but even if you do something in your own backyard, in your own community, your own place, something changed. Do some kindness, have more compassion and empathy, and definitely you're already making a change. And that is for me having a purpose, not just be breathing and eating, but really doing something for the society and for the world.
So think globally, act locally.
Also, that's also another thing, definitely.
So when you say purpose, accomplishment, in your field, what is it? What are the milestones? How do you know you've done a great job? Let's say you end your day, you're going to sleep, and you'll be like, okay, I know I did this right, or we did this. How do you sort of measure the progress of your work?
This could be answered in different ways. If we talk about metrics technically, of course, I have monitoring tools and everything, so I can check my boxes. And still a student, actually, still a PhD student, and some other people might say my success is definitely be defined by how many papers I publish, and how many policies I influence or policy change and things like that. I don't always think like that at all. I really like to be basically boots and hands in the ground and see small changes. I am the kind of person who celebrate every little small win. I do.
What is the win for you personally, when you say, Ace, that was a good day? What is it for Dominique Gonçalves, a good day?
Yeah, it can be many things. It can be, for example, I am around elephants and no elephant got upset or charged me, or or I managed to identify new elephants and they were all calm and relaxed. Or it can be that day that I have a great meeting with our community collaborators and they tell me, oh, we just had another beehive colonized by bees. Or might be the day, that I met little girls and they come and talk to me and I see the spark in their eyes when I'm talking about elephants or conservation or education. I have to say one of the days that I said, oh my God, that is definitely one of the best days, the biggest win for me was when I was coloring, we putting GPS satellite collars on elephants. This is the part of the long-term monitoring, basically because knowing where elephants are, you can better protect them. You can better protect the people in their habitats also. So this day we were coloring some elephants, and some of these elephants were right in the buffer zone in the community side. And because we're so far, we only had the helicopter team, which was me, the pilot, and the two vets. If you know me, you see that I am tiny. I might be able to help with little things, but to push an elephant to the side, I'm not a great help at all. I'm just not a great help. I'm small for that. And I'm not that strong. So in that day, when the elephant went down, we saw the community guys and the people coming. They were curious, but then they wanted to help because we needed help. So it was amazing for me to see everyone coming together and then touching and helping to color the elephant. And you could see they feeling, all their curiosity, looking at the eyes and the tail and the ears and the tusks. And then I look around and I see these girls. So there was a little school around, and basically all kids ran out of the classroom to see this amazing thing happening. They are putting a collar on an elephant. So I remember they were just around me and just staring at me, and I was the only woman in the team, and they were just like, what is she doing, basically? And what I did, I basically give my notepad to one of them to hold, and I gave the tape to another one just to get them involved. And I didn't pay attention, but one of my vet colleagues, he was teaching me how to extract nicely the blood sample to see how the elephant is doing. So I was paying attention to that, but the pilot was paying attention to the girls, and he said, Dominique, you definitely have another conservationist coming out. I was like, why? And he said, because one of those girls was just ridiculous, just staring and so interested to see how I was learning something. So, I can say that, well, that was definitely an inspiring moment for those girls and boys. And maybe one day, at least now they understand more about the entire system and what we're doing, and the fact that they saw a young, short, small girl so dealing with such an amazing animal with a big team and everything is definitely sent some message. So that was the day that I said that was an amazing, wonderful day for me. Was just that to be able to get that.
That's a beautiful story. So she could relate to it, something we just talked about earlier, that the one-on-one experience is the old school way, but possibly one of the most effective ones. That's a beautiful story. So is there any dreams for Dominique Gonçalves? What are your dreams? Have you have any for the nearest future or maybe further future?
Well, dreams are well, I do dream that, one day, I don't know when, but one day I'll see Gorongosa elephants safe and the population growing with enough habitat and, safety. Because even though our population is still growing and the, wildlife and conservation still faces a lot of threats around the world. So I do hope that one day I'll see those numbers growing in a safe way. And I also hope that I'll see the people who live around these areas, around these elephants, also happy, and because that's the most important thing. Because either we like it or not, the survival of these species and these amazing wild places and nature really depends on the people who live next door to that. Yeah.
So again, the education seems crucial.
It is, because some people might be struggling to relate how education and all these. As I said, let me put it this way: in a rural place or in these places where people live near nature, let's say when a girl or woman is not educated, she harms the environment in really bad ways. Because without education, this girl will get married earlier when she's very young, 13, 14. By 15, she might have a second baby, or who knows. And as she gets pregnant basically every year because of lack of knowledge and options, then she becomes trapped in that kind of cycle, and she will do anything to provide for their children. So that might mean that she won't be able to make good decisions in terms of environment. She might not be able she won't have the choice to say, do I cut these trees to expand my farm, or I do my farming in a more sustainable way? She won't know the difference, and she'll probably go for the easy way. So because I believe all of us have learned something from our mothers or any women in our lives, and it's the same in these places. The women are the ones who, transfer the knowledge to the youngest, to the children and everything. Knowledge about medicine, knowledge about food, knowledge about everything. And the women who live next to these nature places, they have this strong connection with nature, because everything they need for their basic needs are taken directly from nature. There's no third party, there's no middleman or anything. It's them getting to the forest to get firewood. It's them getting to the forest to get bushmeat or mushrooms, or it's them cutting the trees so they can plant more corn. So it's direct like that. So imagine then when this woman is educated, she can then make better choices. She knows what's good and bad. And not only that, she then passes that knowledge to the next generation. So this is definitely how we can break the cycle of poverty and, instability that really is a vicious cycle. So that's why education is so important for everyone, especially women and girls in these rural areas too, because the relation with nature is actually something that is going to be able to maybe either finish or protect nature in future.
Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable how the coexistence of men, women, and nature. It is how strong it is based on education. So, as you said, you were born in Mozambique, and you live in Mozambique and are remain active. And the question is, actually the last question today is, what do you think are the biggest challenges today for the region, apart from what you've already said? And how do you prepare for the most difficult tasks? You personally as a woman.
Well, what I think that the biggest challenge besides what we just talked about, such as education, many things. I mean, not all of our societies are really ready even to, accommodate educated women, So challenges in the workplace are still there. Things like sexual harassment or equal pay, or let's say basic things like maternal leave for women, or the fact that people need to acknowledge that a woman might have to deal with different things and the different times of their age, basically. These are still things. I mean, now you hear me talk about education, and you have to realize that I'm still talking about a very basic thing. Now, where I am now and this place studying, when we talk about, because I co-founded a group called Women in Conservation Canterbury Network, and we talk about many things that affect women. And I just realized that if I'm talking to my colleagues in Mozambique, we'll be talking about different topics, we've been talking about basic topics that we still want to get women in these places. We still need women to get education or this and that. But then here and in the big cities in Mozambique, we're talking about different things. We're talking about equal pay. We're talking about harassment. We're talking about women being recognized as a leader, and being, people around being aware that women can lead and do these things. So these are all, we might say they're global topics, global challenges for women. And, we have so many great examples now. And I struggle to understand why the world takes so long to observe the good things and, take it as an example or a role. We have so many great leaders now that are women, that's showing that women can do so much, in different areas. We have examples of societies that women are be able to, to grow and keep growing. But as in Mozambique and many other places, I think there's still a lot of barriers and gender bias around women. Even though if you're educated, there's still a lot work to be done, a lot. And we talk about domestic violence and many other things.
Is it one of the consequences or risks of the early marriages, you think?
These are not really related topics, I'm afraid. When I talk about early marriage in rural places, these women are not even educated. In our cities and town, the rate of early marriage is not the same as in rural places. So I'm talking about, and these women that have been there working and leading, they were not all of them. I don't believe that they all went through early marriages at all. It's a different kind of culture. I'm talking about my point is some of the global issues that women still have is also present in my country and many other places.
It's been an amazing, fascinating, truly inspiring conversation. I thank you so much for being so honest and passionate about the topics which basically we're all responsible for what is going on in the world, and the planet is our place. And I thank you so much again for taking the time and talking to me, and thank you for the viewers. Thank you for the questions. Tune into National Geographic channel to watch the new documentary series covering the amazing stories of other incredible women. And if you're looking for ways to grow and self-develop, make sure you sign in into herimpact.co. Thank you very much, everybody, and all the best to you, Dominique. I hope we will have a chance to speak again soon.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here and talk to you. Thank you.